Welcome back to Comics, the podcast where me and my mom look through our comic book collection 2 issues at a time. Today we're starting off with a DC comic, The Flash, number 324. This is from August 1983. Get up, you can't be dead. But he is, and Flash killed him. I like the simplicity of this cover because you got the big chunk of red that is the Flash, the big chunk of yellow that is the Reverse Flash. You've got their accent colors being reversed, and then this just blank sort of explosive
Yeah, it's really
background.
nice.
The new DC, there's no stopping us now. So we've seen this Advanced Dungeons and Dragons video game advertisement quite a lot.
A lot.
Let's see, 1983. We start off with this nurse who is recounting the days of our lives for this infant that she's pushing around in a stroller. She says, "Sorry, I'm telling you about this soap opera. It's the only story I know well enough to be able to recite it from memory or something like that." So, as she's doing that, she's talking about how hot it is that day. She's like, it's enough to make a girl pass out. Gah. So that little baby, she lets go of the cart, and it's a steep hill. Like,
what the heck?
it's like a vertical. It's like totally.
Is she a nanny or is she a nurse pushing a patient?
Yeah, that's actually a 50-year-old man. He's got baby syndrome. He's got the reverse of whatever Jack had, the Robin Williams movie. Or he's Benjamin Button or something. But as you can see on the tread of his boots, that are very similar to his speed lines, he's got somebody on the case. That old saying about being in the right place and the right time, how often it seems to be true for a Flash. Somebody help stop that carriage.
And in a flash.
And just like the old cliche that happens in like
No.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit and other cartoons, there's two guys, "Oh, we better be careful with this big mirror."
Oh, no.
"Oh, geez, you know how much a mirror this size runs?" Wah! With all that glass dead ahead, I can't risk breaking the carriage into a skid, which leaves just one way to go. Relax, little fella, I promise you won't feel a thing. And phases through the mirror with the baby.
I forgot he does that.
This has got to be a new one for the books. I'll bet the Flash never had to use his super speed to vibrate a baby carriage through the molecules of a plate glass mirror. It's not exactly one of the most common street feats a teen titan on the go is called upon to perform.
What?
And you know, the irony is they're so shocked by seeing them transubstantiate between their molecules or whatever the hell's going on. Holy cripes, I don't believe my peepers. That was Kid Flash. Tell me about it. He pushed the carriage through the mirror without leaving a scratch. Oops. And they dropped the mirror in their astonishment. And the shards of the mirror are depicting where the actual Flash, Barry Allen, is. So this is Kid Flash doing this. Baby rescuing.
Okay.
And as we speak, Slayer and the Slain, the Flash is being held in a headlock by Reverse Flash, who has come back for his revenge. How is a Scarlet Speedster's life shattered in the space of a single day? A day that should have been filled with joyous celebration, instead branded forever as the dark day which marked the clash of the Slayer and the Slain. This is drawn by Carmine Infantino and written by Cary Bates.
Jeez.
One thing I never liked about Kid Flash's costume is the hair. Like, he's like, cut the top off. I want everybody to see my hair.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It's a weird... Yeah.
"Oh, Ronnie, thank the Lord he's all right. And thank you, too, Kid Flash. If anything had happened to him, I don't even think about it, miss. But from now on, it might be a good idea to stick to level ground when you take my little pal Ronnie here for a walk."
So he knows the baby? They play cards.
They developed a bond after going through that mirror. "Thanks for holding my tux while I was taking care of business back there, officer. No trouble at all, Kid Flash. It's a pleasure to watch you work. Me, I only wear a suit like that for weddings and funerals. My favorite uncle's getting hitched today. You don't say. Be sure to give the groom my regards." Don't you think he could figure out his identity if he just looked at all the weddings happening that day?
Yeah.
2 heartbeats and several hundred miles later. Even hustling at my speed can't compensate for oversleeping 4 hours this morning. One of these days I'll learn I can't spend my days and nights running around. The ceremony must be nearly over now, but maybe I can sneak my way in in time to hear Uncle Barry and Fiona say their I do's. I'll just tell everyone else I was sitting in a back pew all along. But little can he do that because the wedding hasn't even started. And the elongated man stretches out his wrist in an awkward way to say hello, just to show off his powers.
Ew. And then from New York, Mr. Fantastic slaps him in the back of the head.
And meanwhile, this time they've all been waiting for Barry Allen to arrive at his own wedding. And it's been about a half an hour now, and they're all losing faith.
Is this come after the episode that we already did?
I believe so.
The
Well,
Reverse Flash?
we've looked at a couple of different Flash appearances where I believe we looked at one where they're trying to vote on whether he should be allowed to stay in the Justice League, and they recount his history with the Reverse Flash and say, well, he killed him, but look at all the nasty things he did to him over time. So is
Right.
it warranted? And I think this is what this
The
is
story that they were
this is
referring to.
the prelude to those events.
Gotcha.
And elongated man Ralph Dibny says, "Good to see you again, Wally. You must forgive the long faces, but I'm sure things will perk up the moment Barents finally decides to stroll in." He calls them Barents.
The elongated man said, "Excuse the long faces."
Excuse the elongated faces. It's funny he calls them Barents because I always call Barry Allen Barreled. As it's like Barry's short for Barreled or Barents. Probably not.
No.
What must be going through poor Fiona's mind by now? So she's feeling foolish, and Barry Allen's parents are like, just give him a chance, he'll show up. Meanwhile, the reason he's not there is he's been confronted by the Reverse Flash.
And Fiona doesn't know he's the Flash. Correct?
Yeah, I believe she doesn't, which it seems really complicated if you can't get married to somebody. It seems difficult. So we got the old ketchup versus mustard fight going on here. I do like this landscape shot.
Yeah, that's
That would have
nice.
been cool blown up on a 2-page
Or
splash.
animated in a
Yeah.
series, that would look great.
I like how they're running. Andy's got him in a chokehold.
Yeah. Wow.
And so Reverse Flash is catching us up to speed that he, for the past 4 years, was banished to some kind of limbo. He describes it as an eternity in some infernal miasma far more hellish than any crude 20th century perdition of fire and brimstone. And if not for a cosmic freak of nature, I'd be festering there still. How do I pay you back for the infinite agonies I endured during the 4 years of my nightmarish imprisonment? 4 years by your time, but where I was, it might as well have been 400 or 4,000. I was seldom in any condition to tell the difference. And then Barry, grabs the top of his mask and flips him.
hilarious.
He's like, ooh, good one, but you didn't realize I can spin like a top, too. So he gets out of his hold. All of this is happening while they're still running all across the earth from, I think they're in more of like a desert land. Now we see some vegetation.
Jeez. Ketchup and mustard.
I really like
Who's gonna
these
be the
horizontal.
wiener?
I like these widescreen kind of panels.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's where their battle ends, is at the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. They fight to the death on top of it. So these are, I guess, the groomsmen talking about the situation. So Nora and I, we don't know how to thank you, all of you, for, sticking by us, even though my son is yet to, hey, Doc, we're Barry's best buddies. We're going to see this thing all the way through. Everything will be cool in the end, you'll see. Autopsies, trial appearances, lab briefings. I've seen Barry arrive late for them all. But a man's wedding is another matter entirely. I think it's time the Force officially looked into this.
I have a question. Okay, so the elongated man is there. They don't question how Barry's friends with the superhero?
Yeah, right.
And do they know that that is Kid Flash?
I don't think anybody knows that it's Kid Flash.
And he doesn't seem to hide it.
Even with his hair poking
I know.
out, yeah. You think, you'd be like, hey, why are you friends with a superhero? Oh, we just met one time. Just hang out with him sometimes. I don't have any powers.
It's not my powers.
So let's see. This is, here's what's happening. Kid Flash is like, well, I'm going to go track Barry down instead of just waiting here. But as he launches his costume, which looks quite a bit like Reverse Flash's costume, a Guardian of the Universe appears, one of the Green Lantern leaders of the Green Lantern Corps, like on Oa, on that planet. He's like one of the elders. And he says that this is something Barry has to do by himself. And he even causes the costume to retract back into Wally's ring here. Meanwhile, they progress to the Arctic here. They're like on some kind of snowy mountaintop. And Reverse Flash carves the likeness of Iris West into this glacier to taunt Barry, I guess, because he is talking about Flash number 283, where he previously killed Iris by vibrating his hand through her head, that old move. And so he's taunting Barry. He says, I'm going to do it again with Fiona. I'm going to kill your next...
Why is he so evil?
I don't know. Mustard. So, seething with silent rage, the Flash has no time to react before the ruthless murderer vanishes from view amid the white-topped cliffs above, only to see him reappear pulse beats later with a vengeance faster than the speed of sound. Now look what I've gone and done. Carelessly set off a string of sonic booms, smack in the middle of Avalanche Season 2. Sigh, don't think I don't know how frustrating it feels to be cut down in your prime, but if it's any consolation, old foe, I'll be more than happy to notify your next of kin. More than happy. And so, I didn't know there was an Avalanche season. I figure if you're in that kind of climate, it's always Avalanche season. A full 3 minutes elapsed before the cascading tons of snow finally run their thundering course down the mountain slope. And all is silent as the solitary figure superspeeds down the vast white wake until... Dirty Barry, really dirty. You deliberately lie low till I venture down the mountain, and then you emerge in my path, knowing full well I'll never be able to stop myself quick enough on this slippery surface. One thing that struck me reading this is so much of the narration is happening from Reverse Flash. Like, oh, you're going to do that. And then when I do that, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Barry doesn't really say hardly anything during the whole fight. He's just holding on for dear life, I guess.
Wow.
You think if Reverse Flash would just shut up for a second, he could probably win.
You're right.
So Elongated Man's like back already. He's stretching his hand out. He's like, well, I don't want to move my hand all the way up to my head, so I'll use my powers to scratch my scalp. I thought you were going to suit up and go looking for... So did I, Ralph, but certain powers that be have decided Barry gets no help from me or anyone else. Wherever he is, he's on his own. And so Barry's punching him and kicking him. And they're going down the bobsled track. And Fiona's like, you know what? I'm out of here. I've waited long enough.
Oh, man.
And they have like vibrated through the Earth's crust so much, even through deeper, I guess, because it says, I lost track of how many thousands of miles we burrowed through Barry. But the palm trees and the soft sea breeze say we've definitely gone south, and it says entering Miami Beach. So they've tunneled through the earth, I guess. Some sort of tourist area, judging from the pasty white, unconditioned bodies littering the shore for miles up ahead. I don't know about you, but just speaking Flash to Flash, I could sure use a bath to get rid of all the dirt we picked up drilling halfway across the planet. So Reverse Flash in his speed creates a tidal wave that's going to kill all these tourists.
Oh, no.
So not only does he have to try to prevent Reverse Flash from killing his soon-to-be bride, he has to rescue all these people, which is a real big pain in the butt.
Well, bad guys always rely on that. Always throwing innocence, knowing that the good guy has to take care of it.
Code. I like how we have all these long panels, and then we get the angle.
Yes.
That's cool.
Really sets
Weird
up
that they give us this arrow, and like, well, actually, make sure you're going this way with the reading.
Wow.
Sorry to report everything came up negative, Captain. We checked out Allen's lab, his apartment, we questioned the neighbors, but we came up blank. If Barry Allen meant to disappear without a trace, he's done the best job since Judge Crater. Another tasteless remark like that, Malroy, and I'll stick you with parking meter duty for a month. Detective Curtis and I both feel there's a strong possibility that Barry has been victimized by foul play. I want an all-points bulletin put out without delay. So Flash and Reverse Flash come upon Cape Canaveral, where they're testing out a new type of fuel propellant, and a new solid fuel propellant. So this craft is taking off, and Barry grabs onto it.
What?
Here's Reverse Flash up near the top of it, and we see Barry snaking in from the distance.
What is he planning?
A dazzling ploy, if I do say so myself. Any moment now, the first stage will separate. Fuel spent, it will start plummeting earthward, where it will plunge into the North Atlantic, near as I can tell, thousands of miles removed from where the dogged Flash made the unfortunate mistake of losing my trail. What is this? A sudden rash of violent vibrations, shaking the rocket apart. Bolt by bolt, but how, unless... I guess the joke's on me, Barry. And here I was so sure there was no way you'd be able to reach that rocket gantry in time. I hope you enjoyed venting your frustration out on that heap of antiquated NASA hardware. Don't forget that Reverse Flash is also from the far future, so he's unimpressed with the 20th century. He finds it tedious.
All right. So he wouldn't even be wary to grab onto a piece of our lame technology.
Look at how creepy. This bodybuilding course is like a little boy's head with this ripped body. I'm a muscle man! Live chameleon. Free! Oh, we didn't mean that. He does cost $275. We meant once you unpack him, he'll be free to roam your house. Cause all sorts of mayhem. Sorry for the miscommunication there. So they plummet to Earth as cyclones and start running across the ocean surface, but now they're swimming. And just to taunt him, Reverse Flash spells out, guess who's going to kill your wife again in the sand? No, you won't. Not again.
Oh, my God.
Meanwhile, they're saying, Fiona, wait. You can't run out on Barry now. You have that backwards, don't you? Your son is the one who ran out on me.
Oh, no. No.
Kind of ironic that the fast guy's always late for everything.
Yeah.
They're getting really close to each other. Their speed lines are streaking into each other.
Jeez.
If Barry Allen finds the prospect of walking down the aisle with me that repulsive, then fine. The feeling just became mutual. The poor dear, she's so hurt, and who can blame her? Henry Wilson, your wedding photographer. Sorry I'm so late, but traffic was bumper to bumper all the way. Hold that pose while I switch on my video recorder. Don't waste your tape. You weren't late for anything. There was never going to be any wedding. It was all a joke. Sick, pathetic joke as they both converge from both sides. I like how the videographer was like just as late.
Just as late as the crew.
And you would think she would see that and be like, oh, maybe Barry's in that traffic he was just talking about. If the guy that was preparing money to be here couldn't get here on time, maybe I'll just wait a minute longer.
This is creepy.
I know. The super speed finger thrust to Miss Webb's brain will last less than 1,000th of a second. But that will prove more than sufficient to induce instantaneous death. It was just a theory until 4 years ago, until the day I first tested its killing effectiveness on a human subject, Iris Allen. No, not again, not again, not a... He grabbed him by the neck.
Oh!
He falls into the dust. A moment of shock, disbelief, and rapid explanation. How much I want to take her in my arms and hold her, but I can't. The Flash doesn't dare. Miss Webb, are you all right? I never would have forgiven myself if he had laid even one finger on you. It's not that I'm not grateful, Flash. If you say the Reverse Flash was about to kill me, I believe you. I guess you couldn't see him. He was moving so fast.
Wow.
But I just realized, feeling the way I do at this moment, I don't really care whether I live or die. Reverse Flash? There hasn't been any trace of that yellow vermin for years. I don't like the angle of the neck, just as I feared. Wally, would you ask Detective Curtis to call the coroner? Next is Dead Reckoning.
Oh, wow.
May have been the issue I'll have to cross-reference our previous episodes, but yeah, we're closing in on where we last checked in with Flash. We went a little backwards.
You know, I know that there's a code, and they have to follow the code, but this guy is awful.
Yeah, I know. He really targets him personally.
Yeah, I mean, and Barry, this was accidental. He just grabbed him.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah, it's tragic.
It's
tragic,
tragic,
he didn't want to cross that line, but he had to. I mean, what choice did he have? He was about to touch her brain.
And that guy was
no good.
a killer.
He was a real jerk.
Yeah.
So we've got a Ghost Rider, number
Ghost
68,
Rider.
1981, I think.
The Terrible Curse of Jonathan Blaze.
Jonathan, not Johnny.
Not Johnny,
Jonathan, Barents and Jonathan. Featuring a startling all-new retelling of the origin of the Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see his origin retold.
Yeah, this is good. It's a good story.
I like that drawing of Mephisto and his claws.
His claws are nasty.
Nasty fingernails. Oh, it looks like 82 on the inside. So we're within about a year of each other.
So it starts out, the rains of spring have come. They're torrential, driving rains, pounding down upon this little church, loosening its shingles and rattling its windows.
I like this creak.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reaction.
What? This priest turns. And then, yeah, like that wouldn't scare the crap out of you. You see some biker guy standing in the doorway of a church. And who is it? Who's there? And he's got a candle because the lights are out. And I said, who's there? I can't see you. We've had a power failure. And the light is bad. And it's Johnny, or Jonathan.
Jonathan.
And he's asking for sanctuary. And he was, I was out for a spin on my bike when the storm surprised me. Sanctuary? Oh, of course, my son. Come in, dry yourself off. And I'll get us a little more light.
We're not listening to Bad to the Bone. I'm not going to put it on for you.
Exactly. And thanks, Father. Appreciate this. Say, is that gold? You must have some very well-heeled parishioners. What? Yes, we do. But the riches of the earth pale before those of the Spirit. You seem troubled, my son.
It's easy to say that when you got the riches.
When you've got the riches, exactly.
They're no big deal.
And so Johnny, with his face bowed, says that he'd like to make a confession. So the priest and him go to the confession box.
I'd like to confess my entire origin story.
Exactly.
Just in case no one caught it the first time.
And so, bless me, Father, I've sinned. And, well, is this your first confession, my son? Yes, I'm not quite sure how to begin.
I'm used to seeing in TV and movies, they're at an oblique angle to each other, not face to face through the screen.
Yeah, but I think on the last page you'll get you'll understand why. Yes, I'm not quite sure how to begin. Tell me of your sins.
They've got a battleship board that comes down.
You sank my battleship. No need to feel ashamed. This is a little complicated. I'm not sure where to start. Then just relax and tell me about yourself. In that way, the sins will reveal themselves, and I will help you to deal with them. You want me to start at the beginning? If it makes you feel comfortable, yes.
Actually, I'm more comfortable with non sequitur beginnings. I'm kind of a Tarantino fan.
All right, but I'm warning you, it's not a very pretty story. My father was a motorcycle stunt rider. I never knew my mother. Dad was a star performer with the Crash Simpsons Daredevil Cycle Show. The problem was...
You've heard of Crash Bandicoot. This is Crash Simpson.
He defied death once too often and left me an orphan. The day after the funeral, Crash and his wife sat me down for a little talk. And they basically said, hey, we want you to join our family. And his friend, Roxanne, was like, Johnny, please. And so he stayed.
You could go to an orphanage.
Yeah,
either orphanage or you start learning to be a stuntman like your dead dad. That's not much of a choice.
So they adopted him, and he, just followed along. He was afraid of bikes. And
well, if people are riding them like that and dying.
Yeah, and because of his dad, he was afraid of bikes. But he started riding on his own, and little did he know that Roxanne, was watching and encouraged him. But then one day, Johnny, the bike's on fire. Jump, Rocky, jump. And as he was turning to make sure that she jumped okay, and she tumbled off perfectly fine, he didn't notice the tree, and the bike crashed into the tree. He was trying to get it away from the circus before the tank exploded.
Oh, wow.
To save the circus. But then the mom starts running. Johnny, are you hurt? And she's coming towards him, and before he could get the warning out. Mona
Oh no.
was too close when the tank
It
erupted.
whooped her.
It whooped her butt. Look at the.
Incinerated her.
And so she was lucky and came to for a brief moment, called him close, and she made him promise that he'd never ride a bike again. There's too much death. And he promised her. And
That didn't go well.
No.
68 issues into the series where he rides a motorcycle quite famously every issue. not really keeping his promise.
no, and it was the second time I'd buried a loved one, and it would be the last. Rocky took Mona's death pretty hard, so did Crash, though he worked hard not to show it. And me, I felt like a total louse. Oh, sure, I grieved over Mona. I loved that woman, Father. But even as we knelt there in the pouring rain, one thought kept repeating over and over in my head. You'll never ride a bike again, Blaze. You gave your word.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't berate yourself, my son. Many people turn inward to escape their grief. Grief. It isn't selfish. It's a very natural reaction. Johnny?
The shape of his head looks weird when it's
Yes,
popping
it
out the other side of
does.
the barrier there.
That would be a creepy way to talk to a priest. Because that looks like you can definitely see through it.
Yeah.
My son, are you all right? Yeah, I'll be okay in a minute, Father. It's just, it's been so long since I've let myself think about Mona. And so he gets his wits about him. And he turns, he says, sorry, I didn't mean to jump down your throat. Oh, okay. This is important. It was, those are some things you just never get over, or there are some things. Be of good faith, my son, and take heart in the belief that Mona has found. No! Don't talk to me about faith, any faith. Any faith I had, I lost years ago. All right, Johnny.
You're the one that came to a church.
Yeah, really. And he thinks to himself, I have to watch myself. Watch my step. He doesn't seem too stable. He says, sorry, Father, I didn't mean to jump down your throat. And he explains how he turned to
Demonology.
turned to the occult. And he started reading books and stuff, and there was a lot of bull. He said some of it was pure bull,
Eat,
and the
love,
rest
pray.
was disgusting. Eat, love, pray. I stopped reading those books. Wish I'd thrown them away. Through it all, though, I kept my promise to Mona. I stayed with the cycle show, even became Crash's top mechanic, but I never rode. It got to Crash after a while. 5 years since Mona died, and you haven't ridden once. I'm starting to think you're yella. Even Rocky started to doubt me. Oh, Johnny, I can only think of the reason for you not to ride, one reason, and that's cowardice.
He didn't tell them that he made a promise? I should have told them about my promise. That's stupid.
But I was too caught up in the whole macho thing, trying to be strong, silent type like Crash. But he was riding in secret, and he was practicing.
So he broke his promise this whole time.
Yep. And Rocky had been watching him and encouraging him, and they proclaimed their feelings for one another, and he joined the show. He said, we were jumping the popularity canyon, and it seemed like we'd never come down. And then one day they get the call that they're invited to go to Madison Square Garden. And they turn, and Crash is upset. And he goes, aren't you excited? It's the big break. He said, the lab reports came in yesterday. Doc Warren gives me a month at the most. I just wish I had a son I could turn the show over to.
Damn.
That's cold. That is so cold. So Johnny was mad. He goes,
He looks furious.
yeah, the priest's like, that must have been a blow. A blow? It was the final straw, Father. Crash was dying, and there was nothing anyone could do. Anyone except me. So that night, I made a pact with the devil. And the priest, what? Don't be so shocked, Father. It wasn't the devil you warned kids about in Sunday school. Though as far as I was concerned, he might as well have been. But I was willing to pay any price to save Crash Simpson, even if that price was my soul. So he went through everything, and he called, Appear, Prince of Darkness, your humble servant beckons. And before I knew what was happening, he was there. From the mystic realm of Hades come I to aid those who would serve me. Yes, yes, grant my request and I will serve you faithfully throughout eternity. I ask only that Crash Simpson be spared from the disease which is killing him.
You smeared your pentagram, man. Sloppy.
Dude. It is done, and your soul is mine. Be warned, Jonathan Blaze. One day soon, I'll return to collect my fee. And just like that, he was gone. I felt somehow twisted inside, but I was certain that Crash would live to enjoy the success he'd worked so hard for. And so, 3 weeks later, we hit New York in a big way. Crash was convinced that it was his last performance, and he was determined to go out in a blaze of glory.
You can jump 22 cars?
Yes, he was going to try to break and you know what happens.
The doctors say I don't have long to live. I better jump 22 cars. It's going to be my legacy, is dying while trying to jump 22 cars.
It looks like he made it over 21.
Ooh, that last one gets you.
Mm.
He's going to get the 21 car salute at his funeral.
It's 21 honks. I think, what was that? The stickers were called?
Bumperettes.
Bumperettes. Oh,
21
bumperettes.
bumperettes.
I couldn't believe it. It was all over so fast. By the time we got to Crash, there was barely enough left of him to load on a stretcher.
Yikes.
And so guess who came a-calling?
Mephisto.
And that's when he showed up. You have a lot of gall to, you double-crossing. Silence! It's Dr. Doom. Weakling, I kept my bargain. The mortal did not die of the disease. Now I claim my reward. No, no! And that's when Rocky comes in. And she said, back up, or back. Oh, foul Denzian of the depths, I command you, release this man in the name of Isht Hogo Agam, begone. That's a weird sentence.
Yeah.
I depart, cursed woman. One day I shall claim what is mine. It seemed that Rocky had read those books of mine and did a better job than he did. She saved him that night, and I told her that I loved her. And the priest.
Should let her run the circus. She seems a lot more competent than these other guys.
Mm-hmm. And the priest, oh, Johnny, my son, you have to get a hold of yourself. I mean, this is all very extraordinary, and I'm sure you sincerely believe this all happened to you. But surely you must see that you've hardly committed any major sins. These delusions of devils. Delusions? You think I'm crazy, Father? Well, I wish I was. He explained how he joined this show, and he'd broken his promise to Mona, and he had to. Rocky couldn't run the show by herself, and he was as good as Crash ever was, in fact, even better. But he was in his dressing room one night when he felt the skin, the flesh, burning off of his body, and looking in the mirror, that's what was looking back. In seconds, Johnny Blaze was burned away, and a demon stood in his place, a demon which men would call the Ghost Rider. That's a great image. That devil creature had taken a demon from his infernal dimension and somehow bonded it to my soul. At first I could control the Ghost Rider, but eventually he got stronger and stronger. Now when I changed, there's no stopping him. He's incredibly strong. Mile High's comics. And he creates a bike out of hellfire. And nothing made by mortal man can compare with his flame cycle. The speeds he can reach and the stunts he can pull on.
Pull on it are beyond imagining.
Yeah.
I wonder who would
Isn't
win
that
in a fight,
crazy?
Flash or the Hellfire motorcycle? Probably Flash.
Probably Flash.
Heaven help
Yeah.
anyone who crosses him, because he'll trap him in a ring of fire and then wade in after him. Fire is his element after all, and bullets? Bullets can't stop him. They either ricochet off his flaming bones or pass right through him. And the weirdest thing of all, he can turn his mystic fire into a cold flame that spares the body but burns
Burns
the
the
soul.
soul. That is really creepy. That's how the Ghost Rider gets his kicks. He's a curse.
I'm getting my kicks.
Route 66. He's a cursed spirit of vengeance, Father. The only real pleasure he gets is from punishing the guilty. And that punishment is awful to watch. What's more, he doesn't care if something happens to innocent bystanders while he's on a rampage. Ooh. Once he's satisfied his lust for vengeance, he lets me have the body back. Then I have to live with the knowledge of what he's done, what I've let him do. The Ghost Rider has ruined my life. Because of him, I lost the cycle show, lost Rocky. I roam from town to town, and wherever I get a job that looks like it might last, the Ghost Rider gets free, and I have to move on. It seems like I spend every waking hour just trying to keep him bottled up inside of me, but sometimes I fail. But what bothers me the most, Father, is that sometimes I want him to get out. I'll see some punks beating an old man or hear about a woman being attacked, and I want to change into the Ghost Rider and give the guilty what they deserve. We all harbor such feelings from time to time, my son. He's looking a little nervous. Wonder.
You ever see punks beating up an old man? Want to turn into a demon?
What have I gotten myself into? I should have been out of here by now. I'm not prepared to deal with a lunatic. Father, you still there? Yes, my son. Go on with your confession. There's not much left to tell, except, tonight I was headed into town by a back country road when I came across a man lying in a ditch, a man who had been left for dead. The man was a priest, Father. Before he died, he told me how his murderer had waylaid him and stolen his clothing. That last part puzzled me until I saw all the gold in this place. Quite a haul, isn't it?
Oh.
I knew what I had to do. That is horrifying.
Yeah.
Looks like all these hashtags. Hashtag Ghost Rider.
He's really ahead of his time.
So the priest starts to run, and Ghost Rider is delighted. And as he's running, he's like, I'll push this onto him. It's made out of heavy wood and marble. And, you seek to crush me, fool. You cannot crush the spirit of vengeance. And he goes, what a surprise. Just a Ghost Rider uploading an artifact of the holy.
Upholding.
Upholding. He sets it down, laughing.
At least he didn't break it. He's respectful.
He respected that. And
I like how this candelabra just like stays attached. While it's tilted. It's nailed down.
So the fake priest runs out. Hey, blaze his bike. He didn't listen to the story, did he? So he takes off. It's still raining. He's riding as fast as he can when he looks in the rearview mirror.
That would be terrifying.
No, he's right on my tail. Wouldn't that be awful?
I like these reaction shots.
Yeah. He's sweating. Sweating and rainy. You know,
it's a funny part. This kind of reminds me of Punisher because, like, a lot of the comics for these characters are you watching the victims who are actually criminals, but they're like scared, almost like a horror movie. But it's like they have a good reason for tracking them down instead of them being innocents.
Yeah, that does make it more like a horror comic. So the fake priest decides to drive into a barn where Ghost Rider's flame ignite even the wet straw that's laying around. And laughing like a banshee, the Ghost Rider sends his mystic cycle rocketing up the side of the barn, through the hayloft and out the other side. He makes his own exit. Pulling back on the roadway so soon, murderer. What's the matter?
He's going to encircle him in flame, isn't he?
Oh, don't you enjoy biking cross country? And he just laughs. Look at him. I mean, almost every panel.
He's having a ball.
Good Lord.
That's how he gets his kicks.
Anything slow him down? So he doesn't circle him, but he keeps riding and he thinks, that overpass, that's where I'll catch him. But the Ghost Rider rides up above and
It's a little loop-de-loop.
Yep, hamster wheel in it. No, is this what you're thinking about? And so he takes off. He goes to turn, but he slides down this hill right onto a railroad track. Of course, handy. And then Dungeons and Dragons. Dum, dum. A melee where he breaks his elbow and his hand gets trapped in the rail change.
Oh,
Snaps
no.
up. And then, your time has come, murderer. Vengeance shall be mine. No, 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 you can't mean. And then here's the train coming. And Ghost Rider grabs him. What? You're freeing me? You're not going to let me be run down by that train? Of course not, fool. Death is too good for the likes of you. And the guy screams, look at him. The spit looks like,
Yeah!
ooh. And he's screaming as this innocent train pulls by.
It's an innocent train.
It's an innocent. Ghost Rider needs not worry himself. And dawn, several hours later. Take it easy, boys. There's a lot more wrong with this fella than a broken elbow. This guy's like, what on earth happened to this guy? His mouth's open as if he were trying to scream, but it had run out of sound. And that look on his face, that's the look of a man who stared right down into hell. And Johnny Blaze is standing here. This cop says, darndest thing I ever saw. You say you found him that way? That's right, Sergeant. Someone had stolen my bike and left a pretty clear trail. When I followed it to the end, I found him. He isn't a real priest, is he? Nah, but something sure put the fear of God into him, mister. Sorry, but I forgot your name. Blaze, sir. Johnny Blaze. I'm working with the carnival in the next township. Didn't you used to ride the cycle circuit? I used to. I thought I'd seen your face before. Normally I'd hold you for questioning. But we just got word from the sheriff's office that this fellow's wanted for a string of thefts. And last night he evidently killed a real priest and tore up a church. Can you believe it? What would possess a man to do a thing like that? Who can say, Sergeant? Greed? Hate? Fear? A man can have a lot of demons locked inside of him. And when that happens, heaven help us all. He should have chuckled. End.
Well, that was a fun way to recap his origin and still give him a little new adventure at the end, a new opportunity to torture a criminal.
So it looks like in this iteration, by the end, that Johnny does have some sort of control.
He's got an arrangement.
Yeah, it's...
You come out at night. Don't go after any innocent trains. And I won't try to jump 22 cars.
Deal. So yeah, I thought it was a good comic. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, 2 examples of fun 60-cent comics from 2 of the major publishers of the time. Well, if you watched this whole video, we really appreciate you doing so. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because we are trying to hit 100 subscribers. And we're going to do another giveaway when that happens. So thank you.